Hi, Mary Ellen. Hi, Corrali. Hi, Teresa. You guys don't need to unmute yourself if you don't want to, but you're welcome to while we're waiting for people. We have about a minute before people are starting to log in. Hi, Talia. Good to see you.
Hello, I hope it's okay. I'm taking the call from the car tonight because I'm on the go with my daughter.
No worries. Absolutely. You can be
All
here.
right, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, me too. Happy to have you. I'm gonna share my screen while people are logging in. Mhm. Good to see everybody logging in.
Hitting, you're killing me. Just sit down.
Teresa, I'm guessing it's the cat. I can hear you if you want to hit that.
Oh, let me mute you.
Maybe
She's
it's me. I don't know.
no, it's me. She's crawling all over me, and I can't.
Oh,
I'm just
all right.
crazy. I can't pay attention.
We got people logging in. It is starting to record. So, hi, Diane. Good to
Hi,
see you.
Shauna. How are you?
Good. How are you? Good to have you on.
Thank you.
So everybody came in muted. I'm going to ask that we stay muted till the question and answer, just because we're recording for anybody you can come on and say hi, of course, as we're first starting. But then as we do the first initial meetup, we will stay muted. And if you have questions, if you've never done Zoom, there's a little chat on the bottom. So feel free to put your questions in there. I'll be kind of monitoring that as other people are speaking. I'm just gonna wait. It's 6:01, so I'm gonna wait a couple minutes in case people are having trouble logging in. Let me just check if I have. I
You
don't
doing? Right?
sure.
Sit here. Sit.
Mary Ann can get on. Make sure she's not having any problems. Oops. All right. Well, we should have a couple people logging in. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm psyched we have such a crew. We are really going to honor everybody's time and try and keep it the initial meetup that we had planned to 30 minutes. And then if you have questions, if you're just logging in now, if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. It's in the bottom here. So if you scroll down to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little chat. You can type into everyone or you can type into just myself, and then I'll throw that question out there, but whatever you feel comfortable with. We have a few guest speakers, so I'll introduce them if we can. I'm waiting on one person to make sure that they can log in. Okay, cool. Thank you, Talia. Because I'm waiting for our first speaker who's got an amazing testimonial to share with you guys. Good. Marianne's with us. All right, excellent. So I'm there you are. Good. Um,
Hi.
hi, good to have you here. So we got quite a few people on. Talia's with us who will be speaking. Marianne's with us who will be offering some really good testimonials as well. Um, I think everybody's muted, so just my kind of Zoom etiquette, I always say stay muted until you're speaking just to keep the outside sound, especially because we're recording for a lot of people who can't be with us. And then leave your questions in the chat box and then we'll answer them at the end as well if you want to unmute yourself then. So thank you guys for being here. I'm really excited to be a part of this and present this information. Everybody here on this Zoom call tonight knows me. They've known me, most of you guys, for, gosh, 10 plus years. So you know that I do a lot of research. I'm really careful about what I put in and on my body. It's how I healed many years ago. Um, of course, we've had a lot of biohacking mechanisms that have come over the years and presented themselves. I use a number of what are considered kind of woo-woo outside therapies for myself, which I'll explain another time, that people go, that's crazy, but they've worked. And I healed naturally 15 years ago by doing things that were kind of considered a little bit out of what mainstream would say is normal. So I'm very open to learning new things. When I was first presented peptides, however, I was kind of like, this seems like a quick fix. And I don't like to do anything that is a quick fix. I like to look at everything as like our body has the natural ability to heal itself, but sometimes we need to give it some tools. But I saw originally, and I think maybe a little closed-minded, right away I kind of closed my mind to peptides as being just a quick fix tool that people were using strictly for weight loss. Over the past kind of 6 months to a year, I started seeing naturopaths, holistic doctors, holistic coaches, all of these people who I trust and follow really throwing themselves into the peptide world. And I was like, maybe I need to open my mind a little bit to this. And once I started researching, I was pretty fascinated by the beauty and the medicine, the internal medicine that they can help us with, our own healing, basically. So fast forward to as I started researching, saying maybe I should explore this. Marianne posted, who lives in New Fairfield, posted about her and her husband's experience with peptides and the healing that they experienced and the health changes. And I was like, wow, which company you're with? I need to hear about this. So the long story short, I started talking to Marianne. She is part of, you can see it down here at the bottom of the screen, a company called LEMD. They are associated with doctors. I think I'll say it like this, a little bit different doctors than maybe if you're just going to your doctor and they don't really know you that well. Their focus is on longevity a little bit more than maybe others we've experienced to some degree. So I looked at the products, I looked at the company, I looked at what people were experiencing through offering these peptides, and I was like, wow, I would love to bring this to EarthFit. My brain started working with individual people. Like I was like, oh my God, this one would be really good for this person, and this one would be really good for this person. And that's how I was like, I really want to get involved and I want to present this in the proper way. Because the other thing I noticed is that peptides is a buzzword right now. It is out there all over the place. And like anything else, there are good companies and there are bad companies. And so again, I really believe in what LEMD has to offer. I listen to like almost a podcast a day lately to learn a lot more about it. I'm still learning and I'll continue to learn, but I figured I'd bring on some people to speak to you a little bit more about that. So that is the quick story about why you're hearing this information tonight. What I'm going to do next is turn it over to Marianne. She is from New Fairfield. A lot of you guys might recognize her, and I'm going to have her share her story. Let me get to the next one real quick. Actually, I put this thing on here just so you guys know. I know some of you have things to do, and if you're watching this later, we will be going over Marianne's testimonial next. We've got Talia. I think Stephanie may or may not be joining us. Their testimonial, the information that you're here for, which is what are peptides, etc. We'll go over all those questions, what to do next if you are interested, and then we'll take your questions and answers. So I'm going to leave it up to you, Marianne. I put these little pictures together because I love
Ah!
You're on,
This
girl.
is this is very vulnerable for me. So this is, I actually got introduced to LEMD through my naturopath as well because like Shauna, I had some issues going on with my GI, with digestion, with they thought it was celiac, they thought it was, this and that, but I just had a bunch of regular doctors. My GI doctor just wanted to throw medication at me. And I looked at the side effects, and I'm sure if you guys watch TV, you see all these commercials for this medicine and that medicine, and the side effects go on for about 15 minutes before they actually say what they're going to do to heal you. And yeah, they might heal you, but they're not getting to the root cause of what's going on. So I have been working, like Shauna said, with the naturopath for years. And she had mentioned, Mary, you should get on peptides. And at first, she kind of just left it up to me. She was like, because I do my research, and I was like, I thought I found a company that was holistic, and I went with them, and it wound up they had some side effects. There was ingredients, some fillers that I wound up being allergic to, and it set me off and spiraled me down again. So my naturopath was like, all right, you've got to speak to Stephanie. So Stephanie is who introduced me to LEMD, and I trust my naturopath with everything. So she was like, talk to Steph and see. So I was like, all right, let me see. So at first it was my cortisol levels were through the roof as well. So that was coinciding with the side effects of what else was going on with me. And I just kept gaining weight. So I had been with another company, a health and wellness company that I still work with, but I was doing their 30 days. I'm off the gluten, I'm off the alcohol, I'm off the sugar, I'm off this, and that. I mean, I'm basically eating pasture-raised eggs and still having issues, walking 3 miles a day, not losing weight, so frustrating. And so I found LEMD through my naturopathic doctor. And I started with the GLP-1 GIP with the B12. And honestly, it just started feeling better. I was able to digest food better and just things were working. And then at the same time, my husband was going in for sinus surgery for polyps in his nose. And Steph was like, you know what, Mary, just why don't you get him the BPC 157? I know we're throwing a lot of names out there, so we'll get back to that with questions, but it's another peptide and it's for healing tissue and recovery because her husband had just had surgery as well. And I had mentioned that my husband was going to eventually get knee replacement surgery, both knees. And I just was hoping to try and not have that happen. So I just kept, hoping for something to come along that would help with that as well. So Steph had said, just try this other peptide, and it's going to help him with his healing, with his sinuses and post surgery. And it did. And then his knees started feeling better because he's a golfer and that's his hobby. He loves to golf. And he was going out last season golfing and he'd come home and he'd have to ice himself and he'd have to maybe play every other week at the end of the season because his back, his knees, everything was just inflamed and hurting him. And he's been on the peptides now for, I don't know, I want to say about 5 months or so. A different person. I mean, he's going out. He was before the season when it did end, and it's still 28 degrees out. He was driving up to I don't know if it was Southbury, Oxford, and it's 28 degrees out, and he's still playing golf because he just loves it so much, and he was able to move his body. So those were kind of our stories. Is that I wound up losing 15 pounds, and a lot of it was just inflammation. There was food allergies. You do have to, of course, take care of our bodies and watch what we're eating. But a lot of it was stress, hormone imbalance, and inflammation. And the same with my husband. It was different types. His was wear and tear on his body from all the years of construction work. And right now, I don't think he's going to be doing any knee replacement because he's feeling great. It's rebuilding the muscles and the tissue, and he's just feeling 1,000% better. I mean, is he, 100, like ready to go? But pretty much. I mean, he's not talking about getting knee replacement, and he's not even talking about going back to his doctor to even discuss it. So that's kind of like my little story about how I got introduced to it. And same thing, I was like with Shauna. I'm like, when my naturopath first had said, you got to try peptides, I was like, everything I eat is organic, everything I put on my skin is organic. What? And it wound up like now the more that we are educating ourselves, it is the answer for longevity, and it's just basically amino acids. I'll let Talia get more into the science and everything behind it because she's been doing it a lot longer. But the more you educate yourself about it, it is basically going to be our future because the old way was putting band-aids on it. Here's this medication, go away. We're not going to fix the root of what caused the problem. Just take this medication for the rest of your life. And, that's not the answer. That's not what I want to hear because, again, like I said, the side effects were just insane. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to fix this, but I'm going to have 15 other things down the line. So to me, it was just, I felt it was right. And I dove in with both feet and never looked back. I'm so glad that I did it. And then I wound up going on other peptides as well now because I started getting such great results with that. I started doing the longevity side of it where I'm like, I want to live. I want to be 70 and 80 years old and 90 years old, God, willing, running around after my grandkids and playing with them. Not just living to 90, but living a fun, healthy life to that extent. So that's basically my little story.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing and thank you for being vulnerable. I know sometimes when we're like talking about ourselves and our experience, it can be a lot, but I think why it's really cool is so many people have the same exact experience and we always think we're the only one. And like autoimmune stuff is just out of control. And most of us are inflamed just living in this environment. And so that's
Yeah.
why detoxing and having these peptides as a tool in the toolbox is a great thing with this toxic world we live in now. So thank you for sharing, Marianne. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Love it. Cool. Well, I'm gonna hit the next slide if I can do it right. There we go. And I'll introduce, and I don't know who wants to go first. I know Talia and both Stephanie are here. Maybe you want to give a brief introduction of, I saw Talia, you unmuted yourself. Maybe we'll start with you. And Stephanie, if you want to chime in, who you guys are. And then I put like the general questions, and the next slide has general, specific questions that two people asked in advance. So,
Perfect.
all right.
Okay, thank you. I'll hop in here really quickly before my daughter hops in the car.
Okay.
And then I'll pass it to Stephanie because she has an amazing story. But can we also just say that Marianne's skin is glowing,
Yes.
like so beautiful, and like I'm just sitting here like, wow.
Yeah.
Healthy from the inside out. And I think you brought up some great points there that this is root cause healing. And that's the magic of peptides here. But I'm Talia. I've been in the health and wellness industry for 11 years. I started in the supplement world. And I remember when I first started sharing about supplements, people sort of had the same response to me that people are having about peptides these days. Like, what is that? What are you putting in your body? Is this bad for you? All these, you know, all of this almost like propaganda, like swirling around. But that's how people felt about supplements 11 years ago. And so to me, I think, wow, what an exciting time to not only explore peptide therapy, but also to educate others on what peptides can do for our preventative health and wellness and just overall healing. So I'll just share very briefly, but I am 46 years old, and last year I went to the doctor because I wasn't feeling right, and the doctor said, "You'll be fine. You're kind of that age where things just start, you start not feeling well, and you'll be fine. My wife was fine. You'll be fine too. Your labs look great." And I was like, oh, that's not an answer that I'm willing to accept. So I kind of went down the rabbit hole of, because I mean, I think when you're like-minded, like all of you on here, you're here because you care about your health and wellness. And I was just like, I don't accept that answer. Like, I'm doing all the right things. Like Marianne said, I follow a healthy diet. I was lifting weights, getting my steps in, doing all the right things. And I thought, well, maybe if I just do more of that, more, I can control it, and it just, I felt everything kind of going backwards. My joints were achy. My body was starting to get inflamed and almost like puffy in the morning, like my ankles. And I had a few friends have um, great a great experience with peptides, and like you, Shauna, I was not for it. I was like, whoa, that's a shortcut. Um, people are just trying to find an easy button. I was not open-minded to it. But when I started doing more research, wow, it opened my eyes to a whole world that I didn't even know existed. And I'm so glad that I did, because for me and my biology, my physiology, I was developing insulin resistance, which is directly related to our fluctuations in estrogen, progesterone, our hormones. And I kind of knew I would be like this, because all during 3 of my pregnancies, my doctor would say, "Well, you failed your glucose test," but I've never been overweight. It's just the way my body responds, right? My biology. So knowing that I had insulin resistance, I started to microdose a GLP-1 GIP, which is also known as tirzepatide. And I'm not kidding you. I felt better within 2 weeks. Not all the way better, right? This isn't like a magic button or whatever, but I felt so good. My joints felt better. I lost inflammation. Um, it just, I wish I had started sooner. And for me, using peptides as a therapy, another tool in my toolbox of health and my health and wellness, it just makes sense. And what I realized is that peptides are um, they're just amino acids that help your body increase its signaling so that it makes more of what you already have. We already all make GLP-1. If you go out and run, you're going to make your own GLP-1 for, maybe a half hour. But peptides just increase that signal so that you can make more of your own GLP-1 for a longer period of time. It's very low risk, high reward therapy. And peptides actually have a very similar profile to supplements because, again, your body already makes peptides. Um, and uh, and so, and what's great about LEMD and going through this telehealth platform is that, while peptides are safe, they do need to be regulated because they work. If you take too much of a supplement, you're just going to pee it out, right? But if you take too much of a peptide, well, that's not great, right? Because like if you take too much of anything, you're going to have side effects. So that's why Ellie brings in a whole network of doctors to help you find your personalized peptide therapy that's going to help heal you and again be a tool in your health and wellness toolbox. So for me, partnering with Ellie was a no-brainer. I wanted something that I could refer other people to safely and something that I felt really good about putting in my body because I feel like that's the most important thing, most important decision we can make every day, right? We got to take care of ourselves. And so yeah, I that's kind of my story. That's really what peptides are. And I think the best way to describe it is it's kind of like going from AOL dial-up, your operating systems on AOL dial-up to fiber, right? That's what peptides can do for you. And it's just optimizing your body. And like Marianne said, we don't know how long we're all going to be here, but darn, for all the years that I'm here on this earth, I want to be happy, I want to be healthy, and I want to be able to live my life to the fullest. And I think peptides can definitely help with that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Stephanie, and then we can answer some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I'm Stephanie. I'm a health and life coach. I've been doing this for about 8 years. Also, really started the whole health and life coaching and wellness in the supplement world, very similar to Talia's journey. And they worked until they weren't working so well, right? And one of the questions here is like, why is there so much buzz around peptides right now? And I think Talia touched on it because they work. And that's the crux of it is that they are getting the results that so many of us have been doing, trying to do the more natural and holistic way that has worked. And then at some point it just doesn't work nearly as good. And those peptides are, like she says, they're amplifying our receptors. There are little text messages that go out to the body. Again, what we're already making, it says for like BPC 157 is made in the gut and it tells our gut to repair. It says, hey, go work on those ligaments, go work on that tissue, go do some repair work, right? And so the peptides, when they're being injected, they're just amplifying that receptor so that the body can function better, as she says, like it's on fiber optic versus dial-up service, which I used to have when I moved out here, and I felt like I went back to like 1993, and it was horrible. And so, what kind of results are people seeing? Like the energy, the recovery, absolutely, fat loss, inflammation. What drew me in, I had a really bad thumb joint that was preventing me from working out like I am accustomed to. I was also in a holistic culinary school program last year, and I couldn't work out. I couldn't cook for school, and I couldn't do farm chores all in the same day because my hand just wasn't functioning. I was having to alter my grip, wear support, and it just wasn't conducive. And so I started my peptide journey with BPC 157, TB 500, the same peptide that Chris was taking and is taking. And it transformed my thumb. And within a couple of weeks, I had the mobility back in my thumb, not necessarily the strength, but I could move my hand without being in pain. And before I knew it, I wasn't wearing my brace anymore. I was able to get back into the gym and start lifting heavier weights than what I was accustomed to, and also cook. And like that just made me happy. And then I had a friend who I respected so well in the CrossFit industry who is very much into nutrition, very much holistic. And she shared with me that she was microdosing tirzepatide because of an autoimmune that she had. And the answers that she was receiving from her doctor didn't align with they didn't align with her goals of how she wanted to feel. And so she started to deep dive. And what she found was that microdosing tirzepatide or GLP-1, GIP, has shown benefits to have benefits for those with autoimmune. And she completely transformed her life less than a year ago. So that made me really open my mind and my view on GLP-1. I've been coaching clients who have been taking GLP-1s on their nutrition and their lifestyle habits. And I just always assumed it was for people who were pre-diabetic, diabetic, or just really struggling to lose the weight. I didn't realize that there are so many off-label uses for this particular peptide that many of us can benefit from. And one thing I do like to always stress with folks who are interested in taking peptides is we have to have our foundation solid, or we have to be working on creating a solid foundation. And that includes, like it's listed here, your sleep, nutrition, your movement, your stress management. All of those things need to be working, lifting weights. All of that needs to be in the mix. The peptide, no matter what it is, isn't the magic bullet. If you're a dumpster fire on the inside, the peptide isn't going to work as well as it is designed to work. But if you're getting proper sleep, if you're adding the right nutrition and lifting and moving and managing your stress, man, like you're going to see results from what I have seen a lot faster than those who are kind of ignoring those life and health style habits. And so for me, joining LEMD really fit right alongside what it was I was already doing and offering clients and helping them not just live long, but to optimize their health so that they can have a long health span and be in their 90s and be running with their great grandchildren around. And so with Ellie, what really connected me when I talked to Tally about it was that it wasn't a research grade company that was selling peptides. It was a pharmaceutical company that triple purifies their peptides, and they verify that there aren't any impurities that are in that peptide prior to being batched. And that is really important to me. Before I found Ellie, I was doing my research on the internet, and I was so confused at all of these companies that were out there that were offering peptides, but I didn't understand the dosing. I didn't understand concentration. I didn't understand any of that. And so with Ellie, when you become a client and you go to purchase your peptide, you fill out your own health questionnaire. That health questionnaire then is reviewed by a provider in your state to make sure that there are no contraindications, to make sure that that peptide fits you based off of your health history. And you sometimes will be denied a peptide because of that. And I would rather be denied than somebody taking a peptide that could potentially be causing them more harm. And then the other beautiful thing is that Ellie has her own in-house pharmacy. And so the pharmacy will fulfill that order, ship it directly to your house with all of the syringes and the alcohol swabs that are needed. And then you have access to your provider through that patient portal at any time while you're taking that peptide at no additional cost, which is really something that you're not going to get in a lot of other companies that are out there. And so for a lot of those reasons, that is why it was a no-brainer for me to jump into Ellie and to start offering this, not just for myself and my husband, but for my clients and for the friends in my life who don't yet want my coaching skills.
Oh, Shauna, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't
There
unmute.
she goes.
I couldn't unmute. I'm like, where is the button? Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much for sharing both your experiences. And that's in hearing a lot of the podcasts, I've been hearing stuff that's so similar. So it's just amazing from people that have had like long-term autoimmune, which is how I got into this world. You're talking 16 years ago. And I just wish I had some of these available because I think it would have like fast tracked my healing. And it was a long journey. But yeah, thank you guys for being on. I think basically we got all these questions. So I'm going to go on, and I guess either Talia and Stephanie, if one of you wants to jump in, I wrote to everybody and said if you have specific questions. So these two were sent in from people that couldn't be on but wanted these answered. So I don't know who wants to jump in and see if you can answer any of these.
Stephanie, you want to jump in? She is so knowledgeable. Like, yeah,
Yes.
you have an
So
amazing brain.
absolutely. Do peptides work with prescriptions for blood pressure, blood sugar, or metabolism? And I will say it depends on the particular peptide. And so that is the importance of the health questionnaire. And so if somebody has a specific question, like maybe they're on a blood pressure medicine and they're looking to do a GLP-1, either microdose or weight loss, likely that will be okay. But only the provider will be able to answer that question once they've reviewed that health questionnaire. We can help guide them along that way. And the other really nice thing that LEMD offers right now is that they have a 15-minute provider consultation with Dr. Wagner. It's a $50 consultation fee, $25 comes back to you to go towards your first order with LEMD. And so if you're looking at all the peptides and you're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea where to start, or I have, like cancer in my history, or I'm actively, fighting cancer, or, you have some specific health concerns and you don't know which peptide to start with, making that provider appointment will help you to kind of narrow down what peptide would be best to start with. Is that good?
I think that's perfect. I think one of the main things that I'm hearing you say, which I think will be helpful for her to hear, is it really, the beauty of LEMD is that they're going to link you up with a provider who's going to be able to answer specifically.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. And then if for whatever reason that person is denied, you'll get an email from that provider or a message from that provider as well in the patient portal, and you'll be able to communicate back. Some cases, they could make that recommendation right there or go and make that appointment with Dr. Wagner. Because again, we're not the providers. We're just here to help educate and to guide people along the way so that they can make the best educated decision for their first or many peptides. And the second question is I would like to hear how these differ from the GLPs out there like Wegovy and Zepbound. I kind of explain it as Wegovy, Zepbound, they're like brand names. You have Nike, you have Adidas. And so you have the GLP-1, which brand name would be Ozempic. That's a single agonist. And then you have the GLP-1 GIP, which is tirzepatide. That would be Wegovy. And I think maybe Zepbound, but I'm not 100% positive on that. And so when you go onto LEMD's website, what you'll see is GLP-1 or GLP-1 GIP. And oftentimes people have a better tolerance for the dual agonist, the tirzepatide, which is again the GLP-1 GIP. And the other beautiful thing with Ellie, whether it's microdosing or it's the weight loss, we have 3 different add-ons that they can choose from to be compounded with the GLP-1 GIP. So you can do the B12 like Marianne started with, but when she first started, that was the only option. Now you can do B12, you can do L-carnitine, and then I think, forgive me if I get this one wrong, but it's glycine, I believe. And they each kind of impact, or they each benefit different parts of the body. So if you're looking for more of the recovery and the strength aspect, L-carnitine could be the better solution for you. And so in the selection of all the things, it kind of goes through like what the benefits are for each particular add-on.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I don't know, one of them might be on, so maybe if they have additional questions they can ask at the Q&A. I just want to add before I go into the next slide, and I'm conscious of time at 6:33, so I want to get to that Q&A, but just when I travel, I do a lot of market research for gyms and fitness places, but also IV and oxygen bars, and now they have injections. And so about a year ago, I was visiting my mom, and they had a place that offered NAD, glutathione injections, and they were I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, because I knew the benefit of those, which again, our body produces, but oftentimes people's have shut down or have not been functioning properly. And I was like, wow, this is amazing, but it was incredibly expensive. And so now the other beauty is that LEMD offers that, and you can get it at your house for like a fraction of the cost, then I would have to go to one of these places that I've been looking into to go get that NED glutathione. And they now are starting to offer some of the others. So that was the other thing I just wanted to add is there's a lot of health and wellness facilities that offer these things, but you have to pay a huge premium and have somebody else give you this, this beautiful medicine, whereas you can get it at your own home now, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to go on to this slide. If you want to screenshot.
Donna, can I answer the question from Aaron real fast?
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
So
Because I'm
Aaron
sure
asked if there were any side effects when starting to take them, digestive issues similar. And so typically, specifically with the GLP-1 GIP, side effects are usually the cause of the dosing. So LEMD's provider will list out the dose or for your weekly injection. And so the beauty is the peptide comes in a vial and you have your syringe and you get to draw the amount that you need for that week. And a good rule of thumb is always to start low and titrate up. And the reason we start low is because we want to use the lowest effective dose. So even if your dose for the week says 50 units and you start with 10 units, you titrate up, you increase each week until you find that sweet medium. If you start to notice side effects, then you back off that dosing. And so you may never even get to 50 units in that week. And so that's kind of how you mitigate some of those side effects. With like Wegovy and Zepbound, those are auto pens. And so if the concentration is 5 milligrams a week, you're stuck getting 5 milligrams a week and you don't have the ability to adjust how much you're getting. But with this one, you do.
And I just wanted to say that I have not had any side effects, luckily. If anything, it has helped my gut issues, my GI issues. And then I added the BPC 157 and the TD 500, which also helps your gut issues. And I just actually have my nephew starting that as well because he is, I guess it's just a genetic thing with us. So, but yeah, so I haven't had any side effects. And just like Stephanie said, they do, you're in control of your dosage, which is awesome. And was there something else? The side effects, and I think that's pretty much it. And they give you free a medication if you were to have a side effect. And then the other thing I think that makes us different is that even though we are the liaisons between the concierge telehealth, we do coach you and help you. So I mean that's pretty cool too because your doctor usually just writes you a script and then you're on your own. So I mean I've been speaking to some of the people at Shauna's gym and I find that they're not being told a lot of things that we tell our clients and friends that are, joining. They're not being told what to eat, what to do alongside, what protein, whatever, they're not being coached in that way. So I'll just leave it at that. But, that's, yeah, great question.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you guys. And thank you. I didn't see the chat. I'm the one with the screen up and I didn't even see it. Again, you can screenshot this or look back on it and I'll probably put it in the email as well. But if you have any interest or even if you're just curious at this point, there's a few steps here. This, by the way, lemd.com/Coach Shauna is on EarthFIT. So if you go, a lot of you guys know the products that I endorse, which I spend a lot of time researching. This is on that product page. So if you ever, what was that website? You can always go there. But it's lemd.com/Coach Shauna. Make sure my name is listed at the top so that you can have myself and these guys be on your coaching team if you need us. And then you can create a free account. That does not oblige you in any way to purchase anything, but once you're in there, you'll be able to see all the peptides and some of the benefits and what they offer. Once you're there, you can choose your path, you can order directly, or you can schedule a telehealth call. And that would be the one that they mention where you pay $50, which is pretty amazing for telehealth, and then you get 25 back in credit towards the product that they kind of suggest for you. And then I'm here. What I'm planning on doing, just so all of you Earthfitters know, is have like a specific time of the week where I set up like 3 or 4 calls if people have any questions. And then, of course, I've got these beautiful women who you just heard from that have been supporting me as I'm learning everything as well. And step 6, when you're ready, the peptides arrive at your door. Mine arrived this week. I chose just, to start, but I already know now that I've been listening to more stuff, what I'm going to go with next. But GHKCU, which those of you that have known me for years, one of my autoimmune issues, and I've been told I have Epstein-Barr and lupus. I don't attach those. I've had Lyme disease, but my skin has been really the biggest side effect. So I'm excited to get with that. The other thing, as I'm saying that, I just wanted to add it. Peptides, you've probably heard that word for years. They've been in skin products, just so everybody knows. So that's the other thing is they know that it works. And the other thing that I've been hearing a lot is the pharmaceutical companies they're trying to take them away from independent distributors. That means they work. So for me, that was like when I was like, oh my God, I got to get on this. And we have to have teams and people that understand that this is important for us to have access to our own health and be able to take care of ourselves, not have to go to a doctor and the pharmaceutical company be the ones that strictly tell us what we're allowed to have. So here are all your steps to get it. And with that, just so we make sure everybody can ask questions, I guess I'll throw it out free format. If you want to unmute yourself and ask some questions, go for it. We're all here. You can also, and I see somebody maybe chatted. Good, we got it. Okay, so we answered Aaron's question. Anybody got anything? And maybe some of you are still figuring out how to unmute. You can raise your hand if you don't know how to unmute. I'll guide you. Bottom left corner. Cool, there's Allison. Besides purchasing the injection, is there a monthly fee?
There is not a monthly fee. Some peptides will be on a subscription. So when you make your purchase and you go into your patient portal, you'll see the list of peptides that you're taking, and off to the left will say subscription, which means that it will auto renew, but you will get email notification that it is about to auto renew. You'll still have to complete a new health questionnaire before you complete that purchase. And then you can also make adjustments or cancel at any time. And so there is no obligation. It's free to sign up. The cost is your peptides.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Mm.
Good.
So that is a good question. Yeah, so you can pay in full, you can do split payment, or you can use your FSA, HSA accounts. I'm not familiar with those too much. I'm prior military, so I'm all TRICARE and veteran and VA. But I do know that there are people who have the FSA and HSA, and you can use those.
Beautiful. Good questions, everybody. Cool. Oh, we got one. It's popping up. Awesome. Well, to the deal. Oh, good. Thank you, Ashley. Something.
Yeah, so peptides are good for cycling, right? You can cycle them on and off. Ellie typically will recommend 8 weeks on, 4 weeks off, or 12 weeks, 6 weeks off. Some, depending on who you follow, they'll be like, you never have to cycle off of the peptides. I'm in the camp of I like to do a full round of that peptide. Either it's a 2-month or 3-month prescription that you're going to purchase. And then I like to cycle off and then evaluate how my body feels, the signals that it's sending me. For instance, I'm on week 8 of being off of my BPC, TB5 and TB500. My thumb feels really good, but I also am noticing things that are popping back up. And so that cycle on, cycle off period is really good for that evaluation of, do I still need to be on this particular peptide? And if the answer is no, pick a new one. If the answer is yes, then put yourself back on another cycle.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the question, Ashley.
Peptides, do they always have to stay refrigerated? Yes, unless it's in the pill form. I think the pills are the only thing that may not need to be, but don't quote me on that. It'll definitely say on the bottle. For traveling, you can put them in Ellie now sends out their peptides in a reusable water bottle with little reusable ice packs. So you can travel with that through TSA. They have no issues, though they may open it and be like, what is this? Oh, it's a peptide. And they're very familiar with it. Syringes can go right along with that. So not an issue. but they would need to be refrigerated. So if you're staying in a hotel that doesn't have a refrigerator, that potentially could be a problem.
Cool. We'll wait another minute. I know sometimes if someone's typing, it takes a little while. But thank you guys again for being on. I'm like looking at, I put the big screen. Oh, good. Here's Kathy. But I put the big screen. I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of people here. So it's pretty awesome to see all you guys on. So Stephanie, there's
Yeah.
yeah, there, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. The BPC 157 TB 500 does come in a pill form and injection. Pill is typically usually recommended for those who are trying to heal their gut, and that's their primary pain point. I just ordered the pills this time around to experiment to see if my thumb receives the same benefits versus the injection. We also have methylene blue, which is a peptide that is in pill form. And then we have a couple peptides that are nasal spray. And so not all peptides will be in the injection. So there's a couple nasal spray ones as well. And two that just got launched today.
Excited for those.
I will
Go
I
ahead.
will say too that Ellie does formulate in the version that is the highest provides the highest bioavailability. So if it's a nasal spray, it's because it has to do with the receptors in your nasal cavity and how it gets the uptake. But I will say that we do have oral options of the GLP-1s. I'm just going to be honest with you guys,
Yeah.
they're not as effective. They're not. So if you're going to invest and a GLP-1 is where you're going to invest in your health, I would personally always recommend the injections because it works. So I just wanted to add that.
And I've heard that personally outside of LEMD that people didn't experience because they tried both the pill and the injection and it was almost non-existent for them. I'm sure it's different for
Mhm.
everybody, but I definitely have heard that. Um, cool. I just want to add too, methylene, before I found LEMD, well, it was a while ago, they offer skincare as well, but I had gotten this from separate company, methylene blue, beef tallow, and GHKCU. And when I was in Costa Rica, I got burnt twice. I don't wear sunscreen, I don't wear sunglasses, but I don't get burnt. But I was in Costa Rica and I was close. Anyway, I went to bed, I put the cream on, and I woke up the next day, and people that were with me are like, "Where's your sunburn?" Like it was so magical, and I hadn't been using that cream for so long. So in that moment, I was like, "Wow, this stuff is amazing," and that just shows you the power of your skin. So just imagine too what those things are doing internally. Great question. Ashley and Allison both have one here.
Mhm.
Stephanie, if you want to take it.
Yep. When your peptides arrive inside the alcohol swab bag, they will have a card on where to inject. And then we also have a video that we can send out of like where to inject. You can do the back of your arm. You can do the abdominal area. I like to find my love handles, the nice little fatty part there. Somewhere, outside of the belly button area, but in the abdominal area, and then you can also do in the thighs. And so you have different locations, and we do recommend that you alternate your location of injection so that that particular site doesn't get calcified and the peptide just kind of stays stuck there. So you want to just switch your sites each time you do the injection. And for the which is better for first time user, telehealth or questionnaire? Well, you're always going to have to fill out the health questionnaire. I would say whoever to talk to Shauna and with the two of you in the conversation of identifying what your biggest pain point or pain points are that you're looking at addressing. And then from there, you can typically select the best peptide to start with. Some will say if money is no object, get them all. I'm in the believer of like, let's start with one and then 2 or 4 weeks later, layer in another one because I want to know what is doing what in my body. And so usually with just conversation back and forth, we can figure out which one you would like to start with.
And the needles are so tiny, if I could just add, because I literally like I understand how you feel. And when I first was like, I want to do injections, they are so thin and so tiny, and you literally don't feel it. Like Steph said, you just kind of grab whatever that little fat is you have there on your, skin and just put it like it's not bad at all. Honestly, it's like I overthought it and worked myself up, and now I'm like psh, all the time. No problem. It's so tiny and thin.
Cool.
These are
Well,
awesome questions. This is great.
yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
I think we're getting a lot of answers. And again, I'll just reiterate too, if you're out there, if you're driving and listening in, you're cooking dinner, I know that the people are kind of all over the place. Feel free to email me after, ask any questions that come up, or sometimes later you thought like, oh shoot, I should have asked this. The website has a lot of information. So if you do create that account, I was able to go in there and get a lot of information. They do have a podcast on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube too, because I've watched videos, but look up LEMD. I've learned a lot just from listening, and they have like super amazing, educated people that can do it concise. I'm like a fast listener, so I'll put it on like 1.5, 2.0 as I'm cooking, and get the information. But there are some great people out there. So if you're doing your research, and I always invite you to do that. Never take anybody else's word. This is your body. You have one body in this lifetime. Do your research. Feel free to reach out, listen to some of those podcasts. If you have something specific you're looking for, I am happy to kind of look for a specific podcast that maybe can answer that question for you too. So feel free to reach out to me that way as well. And you guys all know me. I'm available on email. I don't always answer within 24 hours, but if you want to meet up and do like a 10-15 minute meetup to figure out the right peptide for you, I'm happy to meet with you guys. So thank you all for being on and exploring this with me. I'm happy to have you with me. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Talia. Thank you, Marianne, for sharing your story and being on to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. All
Cool. Thank you all. Have a great night.
right, thanks. Take care. Have
Bye,
a great night.
guys. And I'll
Bye.
send the recording out too, so you have it.
All
Bye.
right. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye.